had my eye on him the whole time. I was like, I mean, I'd throw Knockhampton in there in the top picks. I'd do it. And everyone else was looking at me like, really? Knockhampton? You're going to do that? And I was like, yeah, I think I am.
Howdy Meowers, welcome back to the BlushCat podcast. My name is Almohnd, and today, as you probably can already tell, we are talking about Boys Planet.
Yes, the true Meowers would be like, oh, Almond's here? That means Boys Planet. But if you're not a true Meower, this is your first time here, you can go and check out our previous Boys Planet episodes, but they might be giving a slightly different vibe than this one because they were like first impression times, whereas this is 2 years later.
Yes, Boys Planet 2 years later, because can you even believe it has been 2 years since the show everybody knows and loves, or not, Boys Planet. And honestly, I'm like sort of like, wow, it's been 2 years, but I'm also like, yeah, it definitely does feel like time has passed at this point.
I couldn't really believe that it's been 2 years, but I am going to say right now, maybe it's a little confusing, but maybe some people can't relate, or maybe some people can relate exactly. I hate this show. And I don't, like, we can get into it a little bit more, but like, I like going back and thinking and remembering about like what we all went through. I know a lot of people are really here for the memes, you know, they're here for that whole aspect of it, and I think that they think of it as like, that was a good time, like, wow, look at all we got from that. But I don't remember it that way at all. Like, I remember it being like torture and like just unfairness, rigging, manipulation, like things I couldn't understand, couldn't comprehend. So yeah.
Well, yeah. So let's get into it. That's basically what we're doing today. We're just going to be lightheartedly, casually, just for fun, talking about Boys Planet. We're going to talk about things that actually happened in the show that we remember and what we think about them now. We're going to talk about the groups and people that came out of Boys Planet and, like, you know, the groups that we're interested in that are active now, that have people that were on the show. Just stuff like that, just for fun. It's not supposed to be like a super official update and look at where everybody is or something like that. And as you said, we did talk about the show while it was airing, so there is all of that to check out if you're interested to know what we first thought.
Yes, and it's not like, to build off of your kind of casual disclaimer there, it's casual, like the updates that we're giving are not like very official, they're casual, whatever, but also like our sort of like, you know, thoughts on things is not like a critical, you know, official criticism, anything like that. That's also very casual, you know, our viewpoints on the things that happened or the performances of the people or whatever. It's not like we're trying to like grade people, and nothing is that serious.
Right, yes. And one more thing. When we talk about Boys Planet, we're more so talking about the show itself and the personalities that we saw portrayed on this program. Not really, like, we're not putting too much weight on the actual people.
Right.
Like, we're talking about almost like, you know, like, you know, the way that they were on the show. We're talking about the show and every like, you know,
everything that was presented to the public from Mnet's show, Boys Planet, has to be taken as, you know, face value. That's the Boys Planet show that we were watching, you know, like it's not trustworthy enough to put more weight onto it than that, because you never know what was happening behind the scenes. You never know if someone's audition went poorly because they had to switch songs at the last minute. You never know if someone actually did give that look to that other person when they, said that thing. You never know if that person actually really deserved to get that rating, or we don't know. So yes, in that capacity, it's like, even if we were talking about how we didn't like a certain thing, or we did like a certain thing, it could be entirely manipulated to seem that way by the show. And so we're just talking about its existence within the show.
Yes. So with that said, and with what you said, I will start by saying that I am one of those people that looks back on the series more positively now, especially compared to how it was, like, my attitude towards it when it was airing. It was like, because if you are not a meower, you might not know that the reason we watched Boys Planet is because we are fans of Pentagon and we wanted to support Hui. And so we were just, we were trying. We didn't know if, like, we were supposed to vote for him or not. Like, we didn't know the best outcome of anything, but we watched it to support Hui. And so obviously that is a bit of like a stressful factor already when somebody is already in a group and they're on one of these shows and you don't know what's going to happen with that group. So it made the whole thing a little bit more of like a bitter sweet experience. And yeah, so that was the attitude then. But now, like you said, I kind of think, wow, yeah, there were actually like so many memes, so many iconic things that happened on this show, and that's really the takeaway.
Okay, yeah.
Like for me.
Like, I will say that I did, well, like, so I went and I was rewatching the performances. So it's like, it's been forever, and I want to see, like, I feel like I know so many more people now. I want to go and rewatch some things and see like them with the eyes of knowing all these other people as well. So I was rewatching the performances, and yes, I was burning up inside with hatred and annoyance for this Mnet program and what they did, especially to Hui, but to a lot of people. And I was like, I could literally write a 10-page essay on this, and I would struggle to make 5-page essays on regular topics, but I was like, no, I could do it. Like, I could talk all day and night about Mnet's ridiculousness and double standards and okay. But I will say that watching the performances now, I enjoyed them so much more than I did the first time. Like, I'm a very biased enjoyer of K-pop. Like, I think of taking in K-pop content as entertainment. So, like, I put a heavy bias on it as to what I find entertaining. And so
that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, but like for something like a competition show, you maybe would want to be a little less biased. You would want to be like, I think this group did well with what they were given, and less like, does this group have people that I care about going far? Does this group do songs that I like, things like that. But yeah. I hated everything that was going on so much the first time that like every single group I was like, no, they didn't do good. Like, oh no, like it was like only the groups that had people that I was rooting for were the groups that did anything good.
Yeah.
But rewatching them now, I was like, like literally like none of this is that bad. Like at the end of the day, sometimes there's some moments where some people cannot really hit the notes that they need to hit, but they're learning these songs in like a week, and they are not at a even starting point or skill level across the board. And a lot of times it's not even like in ranges that they're meant to be singing. Like, you can totally be an awesome idol, singer, anything, and have a more limited range. You don't have to be able to hit those notes.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that at some point before. I don't know if it was Boys Planet specifically or just in general that you've said that, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I was like, this time around, I was like, you know what? None of it is really even that bad. I feel like with what these people were given and with what they were put through, like, good job.
Yeah, really. Like, all of these people were, well, okay, not all of them. Yeah, like some of them were already debuted idols, but most of them were literally trainees. And Mnet just does such, like, they play their game and they portray some people as so good and then other people as so bad, when in reality most of these people are on like the same level. And so it really just, they do it to make it a show, to make it more entertaining, but it divides so unnecessarily.
I feel like so many people would still find it perfectly entertaining and would definitely want to watch it if they didn't do that.
Yeah.
Like, I was seeing someone's compilation of the auditions, because I don't even know if I've seen all of the auditions. So it wasn't the full auditions. It was like just a little clip of each audition. But I was like, this is kind of crazy. So many of these auditions are actually perfectly fine auditions. And in my mind, there was terrible auditions. And then there was like 2 or 3 people that were literally treated as gods in their auditions. And I don't even think that those ones were necessarily some of the best ones.
Yeah.
Like, so many times Mnet took things and was like, this is what you are going to love. This is what needs to be like, everyone needs to keep their eyes on this and think about this. And then there was plenty of other things that were like, this was totally great too. And Mnet just didn't even cover it. So it's not even like they were covering all the good stuff. They were covering like 1 or 2 things that they wanted everyone to think was good.
Yeah, that's like, we could literally branch out away from K-pop and make an entire essay, have a whole discussion about that topic and how the media can just literally manipulate public opinion so unbelievably much. And it's like, wow. But yeah, Mnet definitely showed what they wanted to show. They created the story that they wanted to create. And so we as viewers watching it for the first time had to try and, pick through it all to see like what the truth was, if there was a truth there. But now looking back, it's easier to see. Like, it's easier than before to see what Mnet manipulated and to try and actually see the real stories that are happening.
It's just so frustrating though for me still, because it's like, when I was first watching it, it like worked a little bit, because the top, like the people that are in the final episode, I was like, yeah, these really are like the good people. Like, these really are the people that deserve to be in this final episode. And like the rest of them, who really knows who they are? Like, who really? But so many of those people, like the rest of them, quote unquote, have debuted and are doing great and like do awesome stuff.
Yeah.
And they just got completely ignored or completely overlooked throughout the show just because Mnet chose to like not feature them and only chose to feature certain people.
Yeah. So that whole thing is just really still ridiculous. But like I said, I view it in general a little bit more positively. I look at the fun side of it because I feel like compared to other Mnet programs, like the produced series and stuff like that, I feel like Boys Planet cultivated like a stronger connection with the contestants, like between the contestants with each other and also the viewers watching the show. I feel like more people look back on Boys Planet with that sort of, oh, it was fun, like, yeah, and look at all these friendships that happened and these people from, even though they're in different groups now, we still get interactions and stuff like that. but I feel like that doesn't necessarily happen with the other shows. So it means that it probably was a better time in terms, like, you know, Mnet was like, oh, look at the competition is so fierce, all these people hate each other, but it really probably wasn't even that serious.
Yeah, that's probably true. Like, I don't see that much stuff like on social media that I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely know that's happening. But I did think it was really interesting when I kept seeing performances where people from other groups were like in the performance together, and so like they would like have parts, like they would like dance together or something, and I was like, oh my god, wait, that's so weird to think that like Camden knows, I don't know, Tay Ray or something. I was like, this is so crazy. Like, but it wasn't crazy before. It was totally fine. They were all members on the show, but now that I've like thought of them so much as their groups that they're a part of, I completely forget that they all worked together so much.
Yeah. So, you know, there's still so much that went wrong, and so much that we can complain about years later, especially complaints towards Mnet in general. But at the end of the day, the show did serve its purpose as an entertaining way to introduce us to some trainees, and we got a lot of really good groups from it, right?
We did get a lot of really good groups from it.
Yeah, so we are going to talk about those groups. We've already talked about like most of them a lot. Some of them just debuted, so we didn't talk about them yet. But before that, moving on to still talking about the show, but maybe in a more lighthearted way, let's reminisce on some events that actually happened during Boys Planet.
No.
Okay.
No, I need to say one more thing before we start reminiscing, and like before it's lighthearted, because what you just said reminded me of something that is also ridiculous, and I just want to point it out, because you were like, oh, it served its purpose and it created these good groups and stuff, right? But I feel like how much of the purpose of this show was for Hui. Like, I don't even get what they're doing. I don't get who wanted Hui to be on the show, if it was Hui, if it was Mnet. I don't get if they wanted Hui to be in the group, if they wanted Hui to not be in the group, if Hui wanted to be in the group, if Hui wanted to just get more clout for Pentagon. I can't tell. But basically, Hui went through all of that, and then where are we now with Hui and with Pentagon? That's all I'm saying. Like, he got bullied, you know, because he wasn't a god tier dancer. He was acting like he was trash, and then he was treated like he was trash. And literally, like, did you hear his voice? Like, you can't dance or sing like him, probably, Judge, and yet you're acting like he's literally pathetic. I'm sorry. It was just, why did we go through all of that? What did he get out of it in the end? I mean, he got some friendships.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Okay, so we can reminisce on the other things. I'm just, no matter which way I try and spin it, what it comes back to with Boys Planet is why did Hui and all of us have to go through that? They could have been nice to him. The judges could have been like, oh my god, wow, it's so sad that you feel like you need to come on a show like this, like they were for the New East Boys. They could have done that, and then they could have been like, wow, you're incredible, you don't even belong here, the whole time. But instead they're like, I don't know. I mean, yeah, you can sing, true, but
yeah, the attitude towards Sui on the show from like the higher ups was pretty grody, but at least the trainees all totally respected him. Like, they were all like, oh, you're so cool, and like, wow, you're so talented. So at least there was that. I
could have, honestly, maybe what the show needs in order to make it better is for there to not be judges. I could have maybe just done without I mean, the trainees are pretty good at judging each other, honestly. Like, they'll watch the performances when they like perform for each other. They're in the training, you know, not the training room, the like the judges panel sort of thing. The people are sitting there and they're like, oh, like, oh wow, like, wow, that was incredible what that person just did, or like, oh, I'm kind of worried for them. Like, I don't think that they're hitting their notes and stuff. Like, they know.
Yeah.
We don't need those judges. They're so egotistical. And they can't even, like, if all the judges were aces, maybe I'd understand. But I feel like the judges, they have their specialty, but they're judging these people to be aces so harshly. And it's like, you're not an ace.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyway, do you see what Boys Planet can do to the mindset?
Yeah, I kind of was like, how do I go into this episode without making everything be about how terrible Mnet is? Like, how do I not do that? And so it's hard. It's hard,
but let's try to remember some stuff that happened. Let's talk about the obvious. Incredible, like, wow, like, this is just such a monumental thing that happened. Zhang Hao being the first global center.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. I was like, the obvious. What is she talking about? Blue shirt, red shirt? Like blue house, red house? What's the obvious?
Yeah, just the fact that happened is pretty incredible. It happened on Boys Planet.
And I love, too, that, like, Zhang Hao was one of those people that, starting from his audition, I was like, yeah, I think that that's someone who's really talented. You know, like, it wasn't somebody that I had to start not standing, but, you know, like, he could have been one of my picks right from his audition. So that's fun.
Yeah, okay.
Like, I like when the top person is someone that was one of my picks, but it wasn't even a pick that I picked later on, a grow to pick. It was a pick from the start.
Yeah.
Go Zhang Hao.
Go Zhang Hao. We already, you know, we'll keep singing Hui's praises because he's an icon and a legend, and he just brought a good vibe. He brought that vibe all on his own. And
like, that's the other thing, is he had such a good like, not personality, vibe. Like, his attitude was good. It's not even like he was some mean or egotistical person.
Yeah.
The whole time. He was humble. He was helpful. He was incredible.
And to now hear about these people that, like, call Hui for advice or ask for, like, help with their singing techniques, stuff like that. It's like, you know, he actually was somebody that was good on the show.
Yeah, that people, like, actually got close to.
Yeah. Okay, I could not go this episode talking about Boys Planet without bringing up Man in Love. I'm still talking about it 2 years later, everyone. Man in Love is probably my favorite performance from the show. There, I said it. We probably already all knew that anyway. But, like, Man in Love Taeray is just still so legendary. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care. Legendary.
You know what I think is legendary? That there's a TIOT boy in that song.
I know, right? Like, yeah, it's so good. Also, though, another good performance that, yes, it was good when we saw it the first time, but kind of, like, it's kind of, maybe it's like the same level of good. I don't know. I was going to say it's kind of a little bit better, but Limousine Team.
Oh, yeah.
And Jiho's rap, that was such, like, yeah, he really got him there with that one. And he was one of the people that, you know, obviously his whole rap was about his audition getting cut. And you talked about them not even showing every audition. And so now the fact that he's in EVNNE just makes the whole thing even better.
And I think this might not be true because I didn't double check. And it might be obvious. Like, maybe everyone is already like, yeah, duh, we knew that. But I hadn't known this, if it is true. I think because I rewatched the performances and I watched the clips of the auditions, he's wearing his leather jacket from his audition for that stage performance.
Oh.
So he's like, you know, I'm going to, like, be wearing this same thing. Like, maybe it's the whole same outfit, I don't know, but I think I recognize the jacket because, like, the pins that were on it and stuff. And so it's like a nod to the audition that, like, was cut.
I didn't even know that, but it makes it better. There we found a way to make it better. Okay, so yeah, those performances were really good. Another one that I think is still pretty good in terms of the performances that we got from Boys Planet, but it did like have more of like a everybody is referencing this all the time factor back when it was more relevant. Zoom Team. But I specifically want to reference Umu TTT because that was just such a whole thing, and and you know, when Hui was doing it too, like that's really what we can look back on, right? Let's just take away these types of things from the show.
It's just that we could have had these types of things without all that other stuff.
Exactly.
Like, the boys are completely capable of doing that stuff without having been traumatized first.
Yeah, that is very true. Very valid point. I also want to just obviously acknowledge, once again, Ungi literally singing the entire chorus of Feel Special all by himself. Because that is icon behavior, and he did what he had to do. He stepped up. He always does. And legendary.
I know I already talked about that, and I already said that he was like a star. He was having a star moment or whatever when we talked about it the first time. But yes, I too need to bring that up because it's just really like he is twice in that moment, you know, like, well, I mean, he's Ungi in that moment, honestly, but like, there's no question about anything. And I love how he's like singing the first part of the chorus, and then it's the natural words of the song, but it's like the first part of the chorus and then like a pause, and then it's just him again, and he's like, again, I feel special. And it's just like, it adds an extra element to the fact that he's continuing on, like it's still his part. It's just really funny. Yeah. Or like the part at the end, like when he's doing the chorus at the ending time, and he's like weaving in and out of the people, and so it's kind of like it's him popping out from the left and he's singing, and then it's him popping out from the right and he's singing, and then it just keeps being him.
Yeah, I actually haven't even watched it, like, honestly, probably since it aired, but I just, that's how significant it was and how impactful it was. It's so memorable. You can't forget about it.
Yeah.
So those are my main takeaways, other than like the actual songs we got from it. Like, my top songs: Say My Name, Jelly Pop, On Guard. They're all still good songs. Like, they're just like, you know, the show aside, they're just good songs. I have them in my playlist. They come on regularly, and yeah, it's good. I also do like Hot Summer still. It lost some of its glory, I think. I was definitely team Jelly Pop in terms of like the song and the vibes when the show was going on, but Hot Summer did have its highlights, but I feel like it did lose some of that a little bit. And honestly, Here I Am, why not, right? Like, everybody, it's like the trauma is there a little bit when it comes on, but it's also like, okay, we know all the lyrics, we know all the dance, let's go, right? Like, isn't that the vibe?
When you hear a song that many times, it kind of turns into the vibe. Like,
yeah.
you've got to embrace it, or else it'll break you.
Yeah, that's true.
My top songs, well, my top performance, On Guard, easily. You know, I watched it again and I was like, wow, yeah, this is so good. And it's got so many people that I liked in it. And it's like my style. But I also do really like Jelly Pop. Say My Name, I was never really... Oh, but you know what I would like to give a shout out to the bottom drawer of the blue file cabinet in the Say My Name performance. If you know, you know.
Yikes, I don't know. Now I feel left out. I'm gonna have to go watch. What I get from Say My Name is that very, very performance from the Road to Kingdom finale with all those colorful lockers. Like, didn't they have something like that exact same vibe going on?
I think maybe they did.
But also, To Us. Like, To Us's concept sounds very much like Say My Name. So maybe that's why I like To Us, and maybe that's why I still like Say My Name so much.
I'd also like to give another completely random and obscure shout out to the girl recording on a phone through binoculars in Jelly Pop.
Wow, okay. All right. Like, wait, describe it.
She's holding up her cell phone, you know, her cellular phone, as if she's recording. But where the little camera lens is, there is a binocular lens, you know, like one eye of a binocular stuck right to it, like touching,
okay.
like her phone is touching the binocular eye. I'm like, does that work? I guess it worked because she was doing it.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I would have been interested to see the video. But anyways, if I try to not think about the trauma from Boys Planet and think of some other moments, they can be somewhat on the negative side of things. But like, because it was kind of like, you'll understand when I say them. But for one of the first things I think of with Boys Planet, okay, it's the Takuto meeting the jellyfish trainees before his audition moment scene. And I mean, I hate to keep bringing it up over and over again about how I always knew that Gunnook was nice from the beginning, but it's true because someone had that scene because there's a big Takuto fan on YouTube where they were like getting all of his clips from Boys Planet. They were really bad quality and it was really like spliced together. But I was like, okay, perfect. This scene is here so I can remember how it goes. Like, I want to double check that no one was getting bullied. And yeah, Takuto was really scared when they walked in because they were like so tall and intimidating. But Gunnook immediately was like, oh, like, come over here. Like, we're not going to punch you or anything. Like, we're nice. And then he's like, oh, how old are you? And then he's like, oh, we're so young. Like, we are this age and this age and this age. And then he's like, oh, wow, you're so cute. Like, he was so nice to Takuto. And like, literally the first couple of weeks, like, that was, I'm assuming that was at the beginning, you know?
Yeah.
But then the weeks to come, all the other trainees are still like, oh, we can't talk to the jellyfish boys. Oh, we can't pick the jellyfish boys. Everyone was so afraid of them. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Gunnook is so nice.
Yeah, thinking about that now is like unbelievable. Like seeing ZB1 and like knowing Gunnook's personality.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that anybody even thought that is so funny.
Yeah, and like, it's crazy because they didn't even have a negative initial impression or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, some of the boys were intimidating at the very start, and then maybe some people were like, oh, once I got to know them a little bit better, they weren't so intimidating. But Gunnook and the jellyfish boys, I don't even feel like they were like that.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, that's kind of, you know, you might think of it as a little bit negative, but I think of it as a positive. And then obviously the Ricky Ma Jing Xiang fight when they're practicing for I can't remember what it's called anymore.
Rush Hour. And
Oh Sungmin is literally like, I cannot right now.
Yeah.
Like, every time that there was a fight or disagreement, I think it's crazy to think back on who was involved in that and like how much I know of the people.
Yeah.
Like, not Camden, like, he also had to be like a mediator of a fight. And it's just like, that aspect is so crazy to me. But also, like, huge shout out to all of the times that someone had to do that, and or they were the leader of the group that was like having difficulties or that really needed a ton of guidance.
Yeah.
Like what Eungi did, what Seunghwan did. Like
Park Hanbin, like, that team didn't even need like a super lot of work, but like he took it upon himself to be like, we're going to perfect this.
Haruto as well. Like,
yeah,
all of those people that you really like, when you saw the moments when their team was like, would have not done as well as they did if it weren't for one person that was like, okay, let's, you know, work to get this together, whether it was relationship wise or skill wise.
Yeah.
So that, like, I think that's fun to see too, like, to think back on, like, these people, they really like did so much.
I agree.
And then also, I really think it's crazy every time that I saw Brian in a performance. because I was like, wait, Brian was in this?
I know,
like,
right?
I completely didn't know what Brian was doing like the whole show, but now I obviously know Brian, so that was fun to look back on. And the last thing I'd mention is just like, remember how they had to do a play?
Wow. Yep. I just now I did. Like, just now I remember. Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah. I wish we got to see more of it, though. As weird as it was and like random, we didn't really get to see very much of it.
Yeah, like they probably spent so much time doing that and like it wasn't very much content.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Boys Planet. Boys Planet 2 years later. And that's, that's that. But obviously, ZB1, Zero Base One, was formed from the show. But like we mentioned, there are several other groups that are now created. They've debuted, and they have they're either made entirely up of trainees from Boys Planet, or they have trainees that were on the show. And so let's talk about some of those groups. Let's start with ZB1. We've talked about them plenty of times. We've covered their comebacks, so you can listen to our other episodes if you want to hear us talking more in depth about them, but we're going to obviously touch on them in this episode.
Yes. I will give a very, very controversial take here.
Oh no.
I won't say that I want their group to be temporary for sure, but I feel like there's probably most fans would absolutely say, I hope more than anything that they stay a group. But I just know that with EVNNE, it was sad when they were not a group anymore, and I love when they come back together and do things. But with EVNNE, the stuff that we got once they were no longer a group from people branching out to doing other things, I would like to probably see that from individuals in ZB1. Like, I think it would be interesting to see the different styles of groups, the different like flavors that we would get with some of those people if they went and were a part of another group. Because my biggest like pet peeve with ZB1, they're all great, they're all talented, they're all pretty much aces, and I think that they make funny and interesting content together as well. But I just feel like concept wise, they're a little more like mainstream. Like, they don't have a strong, they don't have a strong something.
Okay, all right. I can see where you're coming from for sure. I definitely do think that probably most people want them to stay a group. But yes, knowing EVNNE, being around for EVNNE and for when they disbanded, and seeing the groups that came out of that and liking the groups that came after EVNNE, I can be okay with both outcomes, I think.
Yeah.
As just hard, like completely hard to believe and imagine as it is for ZB1 to not be a group anymore, I could like imagine a world where it's okay that the members are in other groups now or something. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just thinking that right now, but it's kind of like, okay, but actually like ZB1, let's just like keep you guys, right? I don't know. I can see both sides.
Yeah, like all I'm saying is I'm open to the concept of them, like if it being temporary like they said it would be. And like I don't know about the group harmony for the girl groups from the survival shows, but I know that like anytime any girl idol comes up, it's like, oh yeah, she was in IZ*ONE, or she was in IOI, or she was in, and I'm like, oh my god, like I didn't even know. They're sprinkled throughout so many different groups and stuff, and people love them in the groups that they're in. So I feel like the worst aspects, I mean, besides you're like, oh, you don't get ZB1 content anymore, would be though, like there's a risk that some of those people might not really get something else.
Yeah.
Which is bad.
Yeah. And so, yeah, let's, keep our fingers crossed, hope for the best, whatever that best may be. And yeah, I just want to extra say, yes, CB1 does make really good content. They're really funny. They have a decent amount of content too. Like, they get regular programs, and they have music that I still really enjoy. Looking back at their debut, actually, I was like, oh yeah, this is like really my style. But now with these two most recent comebacks that they've had and their Japanese not their Japanese debut, but like their first Japanese EP, I'm kind of even more so like, yeah, this is even better than their sound from debut to me, like, personally.
Yeah, I think so.
ZB1 is also a group that I can really look forward to watching at the end of year performances. They're always like, they're a group that I can count on for being able to deliver a performance that I'll enjoy.
Definitely.
So I think all that is really good. I'm glad that they turned out that way, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not disappointed with the lineup.
I just wish that they had like a different team that was like
Yeah.
like making different choices or something, for like something a little more, I don't know, it makes it sound like I don't like them or what they've been doing, but I just see potential for a stronger concept maybe.
Yes, it's interesting because I totally get what you're saying and where you're coming from. Once again, especially bringing it back to 101 and thinking about their concept and vibe as a group, but I can also feel that ZB1 has such a ZB1 feel to them.
Like, it's
I kind of interesting.
Well. I get that. It's just like, is the ZB1 feel to like Boys Planet Mnet, you know, choice, or is it like more authentic to them? Maybe, I don't know, but I definitely get a ZB1 feel as well.
It does. It's a very interesting thing to think about, because way at the beginning I did compare them to 101, and I was like, I can hear a lot of similarities in their music, and I like kind of wonder if they're gonna be similar groups. And I think that they are similar in a lot of ways, but I also think they're so different, and like the people in charge have taken such a different approach with Zero Base One than they did with 101. I'm glad that with this recent comeback from Zero Base One, they have gotten that stage like where they have the unit songs. 101 had that, and it kind of added to the whole experience. And so I was wondering if they were going to be following the same sort of patterns in that regard. So now like they kind of are a little bit, but 101 had this other distinct factor to them that I can't describe in words, but if you were around, you probably would know and understand. Like, yeah, ZB1 is huge and they were so immediately successful, but it feels different than 101 for some reason.
I agree completely.
Yeah, like I don't know how to describe it, but it just does. And so I think that's really interesting. But also, they, yes, have a lot of content, like I said, but I think that it would still be really fun for any group to do this in general, but Zero Base One should do their own Zero Base content.
Absolutely.
And like, I know it was 101's thing, but ZB1 can do that too.
And I mean, like, yeah, like it was 101's thing, but also it kind of is a thing that can be handed down because it's like, you know, it's the line of succession.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense. And I mean, it's called Zero Base and there's Zero Base One, you know, there's that aspect. And then also it's just like, come on, let anybody do that because it's so fun. Such good content. So like, anybody, open it up to the world.
Yeah. I think I think maybe a lot of the differences in vibes comes from the fact that, well, one, it's like a new generation completely.
True.
And EVNNE had people that were, I mean, obviously Jiyoung. I know that. We know Jiyoung's history, okay? But like EVNNE had people that had been previously debuted in groups that were active still. So I think that contributed to the vibe being a little bit different. And I think the like K-pop in general was so different. There were different programs that people went on. And I think the way that, you know, Kang Daniel, Long Sung-woo, they went on programs so often, and they do have members of ZB. I feel like they send more people from ZB1 on shows, which is, I guess, a better thing instead of just, you know, a couple people getting put on all these variety entertainment programs. But I don't know. I'm going to go in circles because it's just like, oh, it's similar, and then, oh, it's not similar.
I think it's a very interesting and valid paradox.
Yes. Okay. So, ZEROBASEONE, they're great. We're thankful that ZB1 is ZB1. But we're also thankful for a lot of other groups like EVNNE. They came from Boys Planet in the sense that all of the members of EVNNE were on Boys Planet. And I was looking forward to their debut because I wanted another one of those project groups from like the trainees that didn't make it to the actual debuted group. And I'm glad that it's a group that I really like. Like they picked good trainees to debut in this side group.
Yeah, especially when I was noticing some of them throughout the performances, and when I was rewatching them, I was like, oh, they're from EVNNE. Oh, that person's from EVNNE. And they were doing such a good job on the show. But like, I feel like they didn't really have very much presence compared to some of the people, like especially the ZB1 people on the show. But it's like, why? Like, what was wrong? There was nothing wrong here.
Yeah. I think EVNNE has such good vibes.
Yes. Like, that is the distinction that I would make, that's like the strongest thing between them and ZB1, because they're both so talented. And I actually liked a lot of ZB1's sound early on more than I did EVNNE's. But their vibe is different to me than ZB1. Like, their vibe has more, like, I feel like I know EVNNE. I know them more. Like, yeah. I know the ZB1 boys, but like ZB1, it's like they feel more like unknown, more closed off or something. Like the group, I'm saying. Not like, I'm saying if you say the name ZB1, ZEROBASEONE.
It's almost like they're more branded.
Yeah, I guess. Even, it's like, I don't want to say they seem more authentic, because I don't think that the other boys are faking in any way. But like, I get more like a deeper connection to what they're doing, I guess. Okay. With EVNNE. And I really appreciate that from them.
Yeah, I really appreciate EVNNE. They have amazing performances. They are a funny group. Their content is enjoyable to watch. I do wish that they had they have a lot of content on their channel, but they could have more regular like programs. The programs that they had, like 24 even, was really good. But it comes and goes. It doesn't last a very long time when it's here, that type of thing. So I wish there was a little bit more regular content from them, reality, variety, whatever it may be. But it's just kind of like a group that you can feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
So especially their last two comebacks are what has really like cemented my enviness, you know? Like they've just been doing so good with all the music and all the stages.
Yeah, I think in these last two comebacks is when they've had the stuff that I'm like, oh, okay, like even, like, yeah.
Yeah. So again, we don't really know what the future will hold for EVNNE, but I don't see any reason why EVNNE can't be a permanent group.
I was under the impression that they were.
I mean, they like debuted under the, you know, whole, oh, this is another temporary group thing. Like that's,
are they like
those are the conditions they debuted under, but I feel like it can totally change. It should change. I want them to stay a permanent group.
Is it like an umbrella company situation thing? Or are they all in the company?
It is an umbrella company situation. The people that are in Wake 1 are still under Wake 1, and like the Wiehua people are still under that company, but it's like Jellyfish manages them, so it's kind of a weird situation. But you know, probably best case scenario would be they all just move to Jellyfish, because I feel like that's probably the best out of those companies. They're all bad in their own ways, obviously, but you know, they could all just be even still, right? Like,
yeah,
come on, please. There's like, what are they gonna do? Do they even have any more trainees at Jellyfish? All of the trainees that were from Jellyfish that went on Boys Planet are not under Jellyfish anymore. Except, I mean, like, I guess Ganuk still is, because like, you know,
he's gonna join EVNNE.
There's potential there.
I feel like it is interesting to think about the groups in that sense. Like if they aren't temporary, if they are temporary is what I said. Because yeah, like back in the day, it was like, yes, I know that this is going to be a temporary place for this trainee to go. They'll hopefully get fame, clout, bring it back to my company, and then I stick them in this group. Like that was obviously the way that things have been going. I wonder if all of the companies still have those sorts of plans with all these people, or if they're like, no, we're hoping that ZB1 just sticks. We're hoping that EVNNE just sticks. We don't have plans.
That's kind of what I'm feeling like is this situation. Like these companies, it seems like unless there are a lot of hidden trainees, I feel like the plans aren't as clear as they used to be.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, let's just, like, what's Keita gonna do?
And like between those two, yeah, like the foreign members, yeah,
he's in Cypher still, but like who else is? I mean, half their group is not even a thing anymore. So is he just gonna have to do a solo debut or something, or be Cypher? And like it's basically just him. Like, what's gonna happen? These people can just stay doing what they're doing now because there's no problem with it.
Yeah, like if that's 2 temporary groups, that's like 16 people that you're going to disperse out into other things. That seems like a lot. It wouldn't seem as much if a lot of them are from the same company, so they're going to kind of be in a group together, but...
Yeah. That is something interesting, though, that like it will be at the very least interesting if these groups are temporary and we see if they get turned into new groups or if they just debut as soloists, because a majority of the other like series that have happened seem to lead to solo debuts.
Yeah.
Which I think that these like people like are great as soloists, but I prefer groups. So it's kind of unfortunate that just is what happens more often.
I think there are too many soloists nowadays. I'll say
yeah,
it.
like there's just so many soloists.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll all be interesting. But a group that we know is permanent is AMPERS&ONE.
Thank God.
Yeah, because AMPERS&ONE is so good. If you are a meower, you know that AMPERS&ONE is the cat's pajamas. We've talked about them before, and we're going to keep talking about them because they are like a top group for us.
Absolutely. So good. And I mean, I'll say it again. I have to ring my own bell over and over again when it comes to these kinds of things. Camden, not Camden. You know, I had my eye on him the whole time. I was like, I mean, I'd throw Not Camden in there in the top picks. I'd do it, and everyone else is looking at me like, really? Not Camden? You're gonna do that? And I was like, yeah, I think I am. And now who would have put him in the top pick?
I don't know. Yeah. AMPERS&ONE, if you haven't checked them out, you're missing out, seriously. They have just had hits after hits after hits in terms of not just the music, not just the performances, but also the content.
The content is so good. Yeah, like the music, the performances, the choreography, oh, everything is so good. And then the content, some gems there. Like it's not just like, oh yeah, they're funny to watch and like, oh, they make interesting. It's like specific concepts that they've done for content that it's so good.
Yeah. It started with Boy Mansion for us. Well, like, you know, we did our episode on the Boys Planet update when we talked about these groups initially, and AMPERS&ONE had just debuted. So we weren't going to stand right off the bat, but then just like a couple months later when Boy Mansion started, I was like, hey, let's watch this. It has a funny name. Let's go. And the content was so funny that we just had to keep watching. We had to stand.
Yes. I remember On and On. I was like, I don't know. This is kind of like my favorite song out of the boys from Boys Planet. Like, I feel like On and On is kind of one of my favorites. And little did I know they were about to have Broken Heart, which is like favorite. And then He Plus You, like, oh, it just keeps going. But then Boys Planet, so good. And then they did that other content after. Or was that still Boys Planet? I don't remember. The one with Sungmo. Did I say Boys Planet? Yeah. The one with Sungmo being the drill instructor.
Yeah, that is still Boy Mansion.
Oh, okay, well, it was still good. So.
Yeah. So, like, AMPERS&ONE content is so good. Boy Mansion, Andmate, Ampisode, they're all incredible. Please watch their content if you haven't given them a chance.
So funny. What? Oh, the Mafia dance that we just watched the other day. So good.
It was so good. So yeah, AMPERS&ONE actually just had a comeback with Kickstart. Check it out. Watch their Mafia dance on the Dingo channel. It's hilarious. And they're such a good group. Stan AMPERS&ONE. And
check back at the end of the month for our comeback special. We're obviously going to talk about them there.
Yeah, definitely. We've got to talk about AMPERS&ONE. So if you want to hear what we have to say on their album, that's right. You got to subscribe and stay tuned. I also actually want to just go back to Even for a slight second just so I can really mention the Hot Mess album. Please listen to that as well. It's my favorite album of theirs so far, and I thought they're all good, so that says a lot.
It's saying a lot.
Their comeback was recently, so yeah, support Even, support AMPERS&ONE. Also, support TIOT.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
TIOT is actually having a comeback on the 17th with Flexline. So by the time you're listening to this episode, their comeback will have already happened.
Oh gosh, I hope I like it.
Yeah, I hope it's good. We can't exactly say, oh, like it's so good, we recommend it, because it didn't happen yet. But based on their history, you know, there's a positive outlook.
Yeah, I think I've liked the choices that they've made in terms of like a lot of the decisions for like what to lean into and stuff. I think has been really nice with TIOT. Like I feel like they're going the right avenue with like vocal tones, with like the choreography that they implement, the singing that they implement. Like I feel like it usually is like, I get the vibes here, and I like that the strengths that they're playing off of.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. Very, very much agree. I personally think that the long season is my favorite from them so far, but they have good B-sides. They have good music videos. They have good live performances. We haven't really watched any of their content though, so we're not too familiar with what they have to offer there. I do check occasionally to see if they have anything. Seems like they had a show for like a couple episodes and they did some stuff, but it seems like they don't really roll out content very frequently actually. So hopefully they get something more going in that department.
You know what I really like though is like a lot of their music videos have so much emotion in them that I already kind of feel connected to the group in a way that if they were debuting with something more, well, less emotional, like I was going to say more like something else, but I don't know what, then maybe you wouldn't feel that. You'd be like, oh, well, that was a fun song, but I don't really know them. But like, I feel like because they've attached so many emotions to their different music videos, I feel like you already kind of feel like familiar with them, even if you didn't see their content.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. So, yeah, TIOT is another one to check out. Everybody initially, like their pre-debut releases, everybody was from Boys Planet, but they did, as we all know, with like Moonrise and stuff. We all saw that. We loved that. They have another member who was not on Boys Planet.
Very lovelily introduced and deserved.
Yes. Okay. We obviously will be bringing up Pentagon because, as we all remember,
Stan
Pentagon. Hui was on Boys Planet. Please don't forget about Hui. Please don't forget about Pentagon. Sure, they haven't been active as Pentagon. However, the members have said that this will be their year. They have teased some stuff. They have appeared on like shows like on Kino's YouTube channel and stuff like that together as Pentagon. They're still very strong on Pentagon. It's just that they haven't released anything as Pentagon, really. Like they had a special song, but like no actual comebacks. Hui and Jinho have had stuff solo. And like obviously like Roni's putting out stuff. Everybody's doing stuff on their own right now, but we also can look forward to them doing stuff as Pentagon this year, hopefully. Yeah. So everybody stay on Pentagon. Okay. NINE.i. You maybe forgot about NINE.i. Hopefully you didn't, but we kind of were obviously notified of, like, NINE.i was brought to our attention from Boys Planet, and we were actually really liking their stuff. They have really good music, and they had funny content. However, if you were keeping up, there was a lot that was going on with NINE.i, and it was pretty unfortunate, and so at this point, like, a couple members have left NINE.i, and they haven't had a comeback since when we talked about their Turn It Off comeback in, I don't even remember, summer of 2023 was that? I don't know. It was so long ago. They had a Japanese release, but that's about it. But if they did get to the point where now they're uploading stuff on their YouTube channel again, but like it's covers, things like that. Vaughn has released some solo music, but you know, if they get to the point where they're going to be releasing NINE.i music, having comebacks regularly, we'll tune in for that.
Yeah, like they seem to be in a little bit of a limbo state right now. And so there was 2 members from NINE.i on Boys Planet and Winnie. Like, we're talking about NINE.i and Winnie.
Yeah.
Because, like, when we saw the show, he was a part of NINE.i.
Right.
So, like, all 3 of those members, obviously, we're saying, like, we would look forward to seeing good stuff from them.
Yeah.
Like, we're here for all of that.
Yes. And, okay, I went back to EVNNE. I have to go back to AMPERS&ONE
Okay.
because, like, we talked about Camden, we talked about Brian, but Jiho, hello, my current AMPERS&ONE bias, shout out to you, Jiho. Like, he was on Boys Planet.
I think it's crazy that he was on it because, like, obviously I knew Camden was on it and I knew Brian was on it. Like, and in my mind, it was like, oh, Camden and, oh, Brian are in this new group, AMPERS&ONE. I had no clue that Jiho was also part of Boys Planet until recently. And so whenever I would see him, I was like, oh my God, he's there.
It actually is interesting because I was like, I like, he was even more so somebody that I was recognizing on Boys Planet than, like, Camden.
Wow.
Like, so when AMPERS&ONE debuted, I kind of thought he would be my bias, but then I was, like, overwhelmed by all these, like, new people, and I was like, oh, I don't know, like, this is such a good group overall, like, you know? But yeah, I do remember him on Boys Planet, but it's still funny to think that all 3 of them were on it. And so, yeah, they have, like, a nice little story there.
Yeah.
So I like that. All these groups are good. Yeah, so NINE.i, let's hope for the best for them. We also have one PACT that has debuted since the show, and we have talked about them a little bit. They have, like, all 5 members have appeared on Boys Planet, although Tag wasn't really on it for very long, so he kind of, like, wasn't really on it. They have had a few comebacks at this point, and I will say I like that they have, you know, involvement in their stuff.
Right.
And I also like their, like, progression. I'm liking the stylistic choices that are being made now compared to at the very beginning, although both sides are working for different members in different ways.
Yeah, that makes sense because they do have kind of a spread.
Yeah. TOZ is another group that we briefly talked about when they debuted. This is made up of 4 people from Boys Planet, but honestly, we can't say much, but we wanted to mention ones that we knew about, just to give them some spotlight, just to recognize them. Yeah,
as many ones as we were aware of, we're like, let's just throw them in here and mention them, even if there's not much to say or, like, we don't personally know much.
Yeah, so I'm sorry to say, I don't know what's happening with this group. They debuted in Japan, but then they actually did have a Korean debut. But since then, I've heard nothing about any of the members or anything regarding this group at all. I'm wondering if, like, there is supposed to be Boys 2 Planet, like a second Boys Planet. Wondering if they're gearing up for that, if they're going to be back on it. I know that's a possibility with, you know, groups in general. Like, you never know when somebody will end up on one of these Mnet programs. So I don't know, but they are a group.
Yes.
X-Love is a group that debuted this January. It has 3 members that were on Boys Planet, and they have 1 other new member, so that's fun. They had a debut that we did talk about in our comeback episode, so you can listen to that to hear what we thought, but they did only have 1 song, so I'm looking forward to what this group is going to be putting out. I'll keep my eyes on them.
They definitely had a very strong concept, so we'll have to see where that goes.
Definitely. Another group that just debuted, our newest Boys Planet group, like group that has people from the show, is called Close Your Eyes, and they were actually formed from another show called Project 7, but it seemed at like a quick glance that a lot of the people that ended up in this debut group, Close Your Eyes, have been in other groups or have been on other survival shows before, which is kind of a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
So this group has Ma Jing-xiang and Jong Yajun, who was actually a jellyfish trainee.
Ooh.
So I thought, like I was really surprised. I had no idea that he was on Project 7. I didn't watch Project 7, so I'm not familiar, but we wanted to mention it. They actually got their first win already on the 8th. They debuted April 2nd, and they got their first win on April 8th. So I think that's literally one of like the fastest groups to get a win.
It might be a record.
Yeah. I don't know if you checked out.
I didn't see anything from them, no.
I will say, like, they have potential, actually, for, like, from knowing what I know from Boys Planet and for knowing nothing about Project 7, I'd say they have potential. Like, why not? It's a fine song. It's actually pretty, like, long. It's, like, it's regular length, if we go back to regular length songs. It's very refreshing. And so I was kind of surprised. And it's been 2 years. These people, they hopefully would have improved in that amount of time.
Yeah, like a lot of the people on Boys Planet, their like trainee time frame was like 2 years. Like when I was looking at the people, it was like, oh, trainee period 2 years and this many months or something like that. So I mean if you can be a trainee for that long, then like being a trainee before and then adding an extra 2 years, I would think would be good.
So yeah, like you talked about the Ricky Ma Jing-xiang situation that happened. Hopefully everybody has moved past that and they've had some time to grow and maybe change, or maybe like it was maybe the Boys Planet-ness of it all.
I think they were at their breaking point,
probably. So I'm willing to give these people the benefit of the doubt, and so this is another group that's out there for anybody that might be interested.
Yeah, if you're like, hey, there's still a couple stragglers out there from Boys Planet that haven't done anything yet, where are they?
Yeah. And we actually do have one more group that we know of on the horizon, set to debut this year. And it's spelled AHOF, but it's pronounced AHOP, like you pronounce 9 in Korean, which actually makes a lot more sense now. Like if you know that. I didn't know that, but like they have 9 members. I don't know why they had to write it with an F. Like,
yeah, I
could have had a P or a B or something. But they were formed.
They could have just had it not in all caps, so it didn't seem like it was like letters. It could have seemed more like a word, even.
Yeah. They were formed from Universe League, which is a different survival program. So once again, we have people that were on a survival show being on a different survival show, and now this is the debuted group from that. So we have Eungi and we have Schwaibo, of all people, right? So I'm looking forward to Eungi's idol era again.
Yeah, that'll be nice. People, like, as a side note, people who do multiple survival shows are like built different. Like, I don't know, like how. I mean, Eungi, I kind of get it because he seems like he thrives in that sort of environment. But some of these people, I don't feel like they probably feel like they're thriving in that environment. I feel like it's really difficult, but it's not uncommon for people to go on multiple ones. It's like, are you kidding me? You're doing it again? Really? After all that?
Yeah, I can't even imagine. So those are some groups that we know of, but there are also soloists, like Only you know, Seunghwan, as he was known on Boys Planet, and is known. He has a bit of a Woods situation going on. He's known by like his stage name and his real name. And Levy, can't forget about him.
Classic AI Bay. We loved that.
I'm not sure what's going on with either of them at this point, actually. Like, I think Levy had some other stuff after that, but we didn't really keep up. And Seunghwan, he did that thing where he got rid of all his Instagram posts, and he's had a couple Instagram stories, but I'm wondering if he could be going on the second Boys Planet as well. Like, I don't know.
That's crazy. Seunghwan, he was one of the people that I wanted to just note that I feel like did so well in Boys Planet, so well, like helping other members, but also individually. Like, he never had any problems. He was good with the content, you know, like he had presence, but he got nothing. Like, I feel like he was so underappreciated or else underrepresented or something. Like,
both.
I feel like he was like that, and honestly, I feel like Kong was like that.
Yeah,
and I just like every performance.
Kong out.
Yeah, every performance, he's there. He's like doing such a great job, and I was like, what even? Like, nothing even came from this for him. Like, what happened? Like, why didn't he get what he deserved?
Yeah, he did have a bit of a solo debut as well, but I don't remember. I was paying attention for a while, but then I stopped because I didn't really know what was going on. But, like, I don't know if he joined another show. But I really liked his vocal tone on the show, so I was wondering if he was going to be doing anything as, like, a K-pop idol. But all these people definitely went through a lot. They went through an experience, and that's something they all shared. So, you know, it brought everyone together. But no, really, Seunghwan deserved better.
Yeah. I just was kind of confused when I was rewatching the performances, and I was thinking, he really is doing everything right throughout. So what happened?
Yeah. Mnet happened.
Because he didn't even make it to the finals, right? I don't think he was in the final episode, was he? Yeah, I don't think he even made it to the final episode, which I just think is ridiculous. I mean,
that's absolutely outrageous.
Yeah, I mean, some people might say, well, yeah, but who are you going to kick out of the final episode, because they all deserve to be there too. But still, I just thought it was crazy, and I thought that for a couple people that I was like, where's the recognition, you know? Like Wang Zhihao, I'm not trying to say like, oh, I said that about one of these people we mentioned and not the other one, but like, I feel like he got the recognition. Like everyone was here for that.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it. I think we're going to wrap it up here.
Yes. There may be a few other people that we know of that had some iconic moments or whatever, but I mean, we can't talk about everyone.
Yeah, we can't. I'm sorry. We can't.
Like, the episode has to end at some point.
Yeah. And I mean, it has been 2 years. So if you did want to hear what we have to say, then, like, you know, this is we're probably done with Boys Planet.
Yes.
So
also, please, like, keep in mind, if you're going back to the other times that we've talked about Boys Planet or anything that came out of Boys Planet, keep in mind my mindset on this whole thing and how it was very much like, it was all getting thrown at me at once, and it was all very like hard to deal with, right?
Yeah.
So like, finally 2 years later, it's a little bit more like, you know, whatever. But I'm still, you know, it's a little hard to deal with still. But I can like appreciate a lot of the people so much more now than when they were on the show, and I didn't even know them at all, and I was like, yeah.
We laughed, we cried, we got disrespected by Mnet countless times, and we still came back to talk about it.
Yeah, true.
So if you enjoyed listening to us talk once again about Boys Planet, please make sure to like the video on YouTube or wherever you're listening, and leave us a comment. Share what you liked in our discussion, share some positive Boys Planet memories that you have. Share which groups you're rooting for now or which soloists you're a fan of. Just, yeah, positive vibes. Boys Planet. That's what happened.
And everybody pray for anyone who's going to end up on Boys 2 Planet.
Yeah, because that whole concept that they're going with, like the whole EXO type of concept, I mean, we saw what happened with that when EXO did it.
Ooh.
So I don't know. But yeah, it'll be a time. I don't know if we're going to watch that though.
If only, yeah, I wouldn't.
Can we go through that again?
I wouldn't voluntarily watch any of those shows. If anything, I would watch them after the fact, already knowing the outcome. So it's not something that I'm like, oh God, I don't know what's going to happen vibe.
Yeah.
But yeah, if only Mnet could learn that they don't even need to add all of that kind of editing and everything. Like, we will watch even the chillest of K-pop content, like no drama, just good times, as long as there's interesting people, which, I mean, out of 100 people or 99, whatever, there's going to be some interesting people.
Yeah. So please also remember to subscribe to the BlushCat channel and turn on the notifications if you haven't already done so. And you can listen to the BlushCat podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you for listening. Remember to stay meowing. This has been Almohnd
And me. Bye.
Meow 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 meow.